all Europe are all Christians. Yes, the MDs are there. They are also having a tough time in Egypt. 2 years ago, 10 or 12 people of our sect were being detained for a couple of months. They were released. But this is a new idea for them. How is possible that the God can send somebody? Well, God has been sending all the time. Nobody can stop God to send anybody. And the Christians are waiting for the Messiah. They are waiting too, waiting for the God to send somebody to reform them. And because we believe He has come, and that's the reason that He is being rejected. But eventually, we all know the people who come from God become victorious.
What about so what about the mosque in Israel? Was it Palestine? Could you speak a little bit about our that we have a mosque in Haifa? Yeah. Okay.
In Haifa.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to go there, but one of my cousins, he was a missionary there in 1967, and he stayed there. See, Israel, we also have a mosque there, and that is the only place which is open for all the visitors who visit Israel from America. Because one of my friends, he was a doctor, he went there, he told me, somebody said, we want to see a mosque, so they take them all the way to Haifa. So that is an open mosque, the doors are open. But that is the place anybody can come if they want to worship. Holy Prophet of Islam, one time the Christian came to him to talk to him about Islam, and they said it's a time for our prayer. He said this is also the house of God. You don't have to go out from this mosque. If you want to do the worship here, you're most welcome. So that is a very important place in Haifa. All the Christians and the Jews, and they want to see the mosque, they mostly visit there in Israel. Somebody else have anything?
When I was an undergraduate at the University of Pennsylvania, I was fortunate to write about a 35-page paper about your movement. And so I'm fascinated to hear about it now, so many years later. But you have to correct me, is there not a very distinctive teaching about Jesus in your movement? Or am I misunderstanding that? And an understanding that Jesus, in fact, did not die or was resurrected, and that Jesus is buried in Kashmir now in a tomb. Is that right? And could you talk about that a little bit?
Okay. About the Jesus, we believe that he was a prophet of God who came 2,000 years ago. He was a human being. We differ from the Christian. And we differ now with the Muslims on the issue because they think that he was raised up to the heaven and he is going to come back in the latter days as the Christian belief. So we have a difference with the Muslims. With the
Can you speak a little louder, please?
Can you put it on for us?
We have a difference between the Muslims and the Ahmadis and the Christian and the Jews. The difference is when this Imam came, he told us that the Jesus was put on the cross, and that is a fact. But he never died on the cross according to Bible. Which if you have that, you want to ask me in detail, I can go for that too. That is the difference we differ. They say, Jews say we put him on the cross and he died. The Christians believe in the same way, but they say he died for our salvation. Muslims say that he was raised into heaven and he's going to come back, which idea came to the Muslim after 100 years after the Prophet of Islam. This idea that he went to heaven was not at the time of the Prophet of Islam. So they also, when the Christian accepted Islam, and they have this idea that Jesus is in the heaven, going to come back in the latter days. So they were very happy that in Islam there is something which is very similar about Jesus. We, the Ahmadi, differ on this ground that he was a human being. Every human being has a limited life. In case of Jesus, I believe that he lived close to 120 years. That was the saying of the Prophet of Islam, and he was a messenger of God, and he died, and he traveled, because in the Bible it says that he has sent to the lost sheep of house of Israel. There were only 2 tribes in Jerusalem at that time, but because he came from God, and he has to convey the message to all of them. So he traveled after the incident of the crucifixion to Afghanistan, passing through Pakistan, it was India at that time, all on top of the mountain. Finally he stayed at Kashmir, where we believe that he died at the age of 120, like any human being. Now the question is, he went up or when he will come down, that is also a lengthy answer, but if you want me to say something about that, I'd be glad to share it with you. Unless you want to do it any other time, that's okay with me. Yes or no? We believe that Jesus was put on the cross, and the Holy Quran also accept that idea. But the Holy Quran says because Jews want to kill him on the cross, so his death be a cursed death. So we claim that he was not from God. That was the point of Jews. This is mentioned in the Holy Quran. The Christian died for our sin, for our salvation. But in reality, he was saved according to Bible and from Holy Quran too. If you look in the Bible, in all those chapters, whenever we talk about he was put on the cross, it is, I just give you one example from the Bible. That mostly it is done when they put anybody on the cross, they pull him down, and they break the legs and the feet, whole part of the body. It was so surprising that he was put on the cross on Friday, and the evening was the day of Sabbath. He stayed on the cross for 3 to 4 hours. Some say it is 6 hours, according to different gospel. He brought down. Was he living at that time or was he dead? That was the question. A young man with the age of 33, most likely he can survive because we know that the 2 of the thieves which was crucified along with him, they were still alive. But in case of Jesus, he was close to death because he was taken into a tomb and they put a stone on that. He was not buried in the ground, and we say he rose up from the dead. He stayed there, and the next day the Mary Magdalene they came, and the stone was rolled, and the Pilate was also very surprised, and the one, we call it a doctor, he brought 100 pounds of myrrh and aloe to Jesus at night. And myrrh and aloe, these 2 are important things. One is antiseptic. We used to have, I'm a pharmacist, a few years ago, we used to have to tincture myrrh, which is used for the wounds. So all these things were done in case of Jesus, and we believe that after that he rose up from the dead because he was almost dead. If we have a spiritual, we're talking about evolution, it is surprised that he has a physical body after that also. When he met his disciple, he told them, peace be on you. And they were all surprised. They thought it's a ghost. But he said, he was also surprised why they do not recognize me. What happened? He said, give me something to eat. So they gave him the comb and the fish. So in front of them, He just showed them, look, I'm a human being. And finally he said, look at my hand and my feet. Can you see these holes? I'm the same person who was crucified, but God saved me from the cursed death. And after that, he migrated to these places. Why the Christian at that time, or the disciple was saying that he went into the heaven? Because that is the best way to save him, so that you will not looking for him anymore. Because you say he's gone into the heaven, that's it, the chapter is closed. Now, if you go to the second part, did he ever go to heaven? Number one, after his crucifixion, he came to Jerusalem. It was third or fourth day that he blessed his disciple, and he was lifted up. In the Bible, it also says that he went to a small town called Bethany on the seventh day, and he blessed his disciple, and he lifted up. Then we'll see that he waited for 40 days, which the most Christians do have fast at that time, and he went to Mount Olivet. There he blessed, and 2 angels picked him up. It is such a contradicting by itself that whenever there's any incident happens, they need 2 things, the place and the time. In case of ascending of Jesus, things keep on changing in the Bible. Once in Jerusalem, once in Bethany, once in the third place. So either 2 or...
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so does anybody else have any other questions? Thank you for, very much, thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes.
So I have 2 questions of clarification. So one with the so-called terrorists and the jihad, are they sort of justified according to the Quran? And the second one is, I guess in particular in the Middle East, they use religion, and Islam to sort of oppress women in particular. Is that also justified by the Quran?
Well, there are 2 verses in the Holy Quran which talks about that. Holy Quran says that if somebody killed one human being unjustly, he has killed all the mankind. So if the Muslims are not obeying the commandment of the Quran, it means they're disobeying the Islam. And how is possible that you are doing a suicide bombing? You want to go to heaven with that act, and you are putting 200 people into hell with your action. Islam has no justification to take anybody's life unjustly. And the second part, what?
And this is more they're using the religion to sort of oppress women in the Middle East in particular.
All the third world countries have that issue. Whether you go to South America, they're Christian, but they also have the same problem. We go to India, Pakistan, in these countries, yes. Because this has been the culture, and the man is the dominating force for a long time in the human race. We all see it, but it is a cultural thing. It's not because it's Muslim only in India. The Hindu are the same way too, and the Sikhs are the same way too, and even the Christians there are the same way.
So is it justified or not?
It is.
No.
It is. She gave a whole lecture on that, but you're not
Right. There's a
justified.
difference, yeah, it's just a difference between culture and a religion. So some people bring their culture into the religion and say it's a religion, but it's really their culture.
It is quite late now. We were Sister Ahmed, we were committed to it's too late for students, right?
I'm sorry?
Is it okay to continue or there's no
Well,
question?
it's really, I mean, I think, we're just building questions, and once the questions are done, then,
Okay.
we're done, so.
So-
But don't forget that we have free literature that you can take.
Yeah, I just wanted to say things that,
Oh, okay.
there was a question about Christianity and things like that. Just all the references are here, or some of the references are here if you want to go and get some information. But the main source is obviously Quran. But you go onto the website, Muslim for Peace or alislam.org, and you will get tons of information. And you can, and we all can really access those things. to get and derive and deduce our own interpretation. We have a seminar which is coming up on the 10th. That is a great seminar. If you want to join in, you will learn a little bit more. It is in UPenn. These books on Prophet Muhammad is there, which is free to take. And there are a lot of other books if you're interested. But if you are interested in the soft copy, these are all available online.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, can we have another round of applause for our panelists? Thank you all for coming out tonight. Obviously, we have refreshments, just a couple of housekeeping issues. This series is brought about in part by the U.S. Assistant Peace Grant. We need to acknowledge that. I also would remind you that on the end of April, we have flyers in the back. One of our other co-sponsors is the 10th annual Philadelphia Interfaith Peace Walk for Reconciliation and Peace. This will be Sunday, April 28th from 2 to 6 p.m. There's flyers there about that information. And we're very fortunate to have with us tonight also our next speaker in the series. Leonard, if you want to put your hand up, Professor Leonard Premiano. We'll continue our discussion next week on the meaning of peace and the Mother Divine Peace. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.